Live. It's 420, everybody.
Happy 420.
Happy 420. What a day. What a day. We didn't even take a break today.
Nope. Hi, everybody.
I love hate days like that. I feel super productive. We got a lot done today.
We did.
Still got a lot more to do. So
the list is long. The list is long and growing.
Consistently.
But that's what we asked for, right?
You did.
It's exciting.
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it as well. I need to just be super diligent about continuing on with the schedule. I think that like I said, the SOPs for our life, like seriously, like, okay,
we gotta figure out how to
my
post
morning
a TikTok.
SOP. This is it. Like post.
I want to, like, if we ever have a storefront, I want like people to be able to come in like 30 minutes early and there's a yoga class going on. It's part of their morning routine.
Dude, Bam Bam's doing a 6:30.
I saw that.
I was like, dang it. Of course, I always feel like events happen all at the same time.
Yep.
They're either all on the same day or nothing at all.
Exactly. What's up next?
Hey, next. And so it's, and then also I feel like I see the events on the different socials a day late, or at a time period where I'm like, that's just not enough notice for me to get up right now. Like when I was like on Sunday, I was like, oh, that atrocity or that oddities and atrocities or whatever thing was in Denver, and I was like, I just could not motivate to even drive down there just to, like.
It looked really cool. I saw somebody that I follow had gone there, and it looks kind of cool. So maybe next time. But I agree with you. There's a lot of things that I want to attend, and they all kind of land in the same time. Like, I bet there's a bunch of stuff going on for Halloween weekend too. But honestly, I'm going to be handing out candy to kids at my house, and I'm going to dress up like Medusa's sister.
I mean, have you not? No one else has given you any name suggestions for Medusa's sister?
We got Medusa Stoned. We got Pebbles. Was on the list.
I said Weedusa.
Weedusa was yours, which I really enjoyed. There was one other one I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was pretty clever also. So I'm going to be Medusa's sister. I won't turn you to stone, but I'll get you stoned. Ha.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, if I were going to do a costume, what am I going to do? And I have existing costumes that I just kind of but yeah. I'm gonna run over to the pages and just let people remind them that.
Okay, and I'm gonna read this. It's about that time. You're about to get highly educated with the Cannabis Closet Potcast with CannaQueen and MJ. This is an adult content show with no limitations on language, subject, language, or actions. Opinions, views, and expressions may or may not be that of the hosts, their subsidiaries, and their guests. If you aren't sure, don't worry. We'll tell you, or the look on our face will tell you. It's time to get the session started. Thanks for rolling up and showing up. So enjoy the show. We got a little bit to talk about today. Got some stuff. Another friend of mine sent me this article about this young girl dying in the lab or in the warehouse situation. So we are going to follow that pretty closely and keep up with what's going on with that. There's no new information on that so far. But honestly, I think it's going to change the way that we operate in those facilities. It's a matter of ventilation. Like, you don't have proper ventilation for your warehouse. That seems obscene. It seems asinine. And then they're going to scoff at any new regulations as a as a costly matter, and then they're not going to pay that cost. They're going to pass that cost on to their employees by not giving their employees raises. They're going to pass that cost off to the new employees by lowballing their salaries and their wages for the job that they're asking them to do. They're going to pass it off to their consumer by increasing their prices. Yeah, maybe by pennies, but still those pennies count for something when you add them all up. So
is proper ventilation for that type of facility not a noted thing? Are they required?
I think it's like adequate ventilation or something like that. But I feel like there needs to be a little bit more guidance and guidelines, obviously, if this is happening. And like when I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, I was saying how, when I worked in a facility like that, there's more than one time where I had to take a second and walk outside and like get out of the facility. And they do have they have a bunch of fans blowing that shit around. So that doesn't, help anything. It makes you feel cooler maybe or something like that, but it doesn't actually stop the particles from entering your lungs.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, I don't know. We got to pay attention to these things. It's going to be a new way of doing business, and we're going to learn along the way. Although I think this was I feel like that probably wasn't the first time that this young person, I'm assuming they're a young person. I don't remember if they put the age of the person in the article. It might have been an older person actually, or middle-aged person, but doesn't matter. I'm sure that was not the first complaint of not being able to breathe that was brought to somebody's attention. I imagine people walked around and complained about, man, it's so hard to breathe in there, So even if they didn't take it straight to the higher ups, those whispers can be heard, you guys. Those whispers can be heard. They know what the fuck you're talking about. So you're posting on the social media. Let them know we're here. Let's see. I got the show notes. That's yesterday's show notes. There's the show notes. Or Monday's show notes. So mostly I don't have anything that I'm mad about today. Mostly I feel like we had a great and productive day. And we were kind of nonstop today. I'm not mad about that, but a nap would be nice. Oh, man. So, yeah, I don't really have anything on that front. But do you have headlines pulled up, or this might be a short show today?
I do not. I do not have anything pulled up.
Oh.
But I can get to it real quick. What am I doing today?
We're getting a slow start on the show.
Wait for everyone to catch up. Get in here.
Yeah.
Get in here. The cannabis security clearance measure was blocked in the Senate on October 3rd. Yay.
Which one was that? Can you tell us what that one was about?
Let's see. So that is the lead headline here. Let me see where it goes. Let's see. This is the top things to know. And that's the headline, but then it goes into, it breaks it like a few. So here's where it starts. Senator Ron Wyden filed 2 new National Defense Authorization Act amendments to protect people from being denied security clearances for cannabis. This comes as a new objections from Republican senators caused an earlier cannabis provision Wyden got approved in committee to be stripped out from advancing intelligence legislation. This is all from the marijuanamoment.net things.
Yeah.
Just for everyone that's listening in. let's see, that we've got Kentucky Governor Andy Bashar released a report from the Medical Cannabis Advisory Committee he formed showing that 99% of respondents in a survey it conducted support legal access, and 0 people expressed opposition at the 4 public meetings it had. So that's Kentucky. Yeah, it has that big ass thing, and then doesn't talk about it at all. The clearance measure.
Well, I think that's what the Senator Ron Wyden thing was about. So, he proposed. So here it is. They blocked the security clearance protections in the Defense Bill amendment, prompting sponsor to file broader measures. So. I'm just getting to the part that's the juicy part. As part of advancing the National Defense Authorization Act, leaders are also seeking to attach a separate, broader intelligence legislation that had included a provision preventing the denial of security clearances over cannabis when it was approved by the Senate committee earlier this year. But the 2 GOP senators have protested the inclusion of cannabis language, marijuana language, and it has dropped it from the measure, prompting the sponsors to separately file a new, broader amendment on the issue. So I guess they were trying to include this issue into the Defense Act, and because of that, it got dropped because it's got to do with cannabis. One of the latest proposals from Senator Ron Wyden would prevent the denial of federal security clearances for people over cannabis use at any time. So right now, if like for me, I could not get a federal security clearance right now. You could not get a federal security clearance right now because of our cannabis use, because we have a used cannabis at any point in time in our life. And that can affect people, going forward for future jobs or in their current jobs, etc. While the other would limit the protection only to people who admit to past use prior to entering national security vetting. So if you don't admit to it and they find out about it, you wouldn't be protected, but that's because you lied. If you told them about it, then under this bill, it would have been fine. It wouldn't have kept you from getting the job, basically. The House passed its own version of the National Defense Act in July, and that legislation included provisions on marijuana banking and psychedelics research, veterans, medical cannabis access, and more. On the Senate side, Wyden filed the new security clearance amendments on Wednesday after Senators Chuck Grassley, garbage, John Cornyn, also garbage, raised an objection to attaching the Intelligence Authorization Act to the NDAA. If included his previous marijuana security clearance provision that was approved by the Intelligence Committee over the summer. If it included his previous marijuana security clearance that was approved by the Intelligence Committee over the summer, which is a completely different article. So yeah, basically they did not pass this bill, or they didn't pass the security clearance protections part of the Defense Amendment. So that's what happened with that. Which that sucks, because that's actually they're working to make it so that you like a person like me who says, I'm going to the government sector and I'm going to go work now for, I'm going to go be a spy. I don't know what the fuck, but I don't know what the fuck I would do for the government. Nothing. But if I chose to do that, then this part of my life wouldn't be a reason for me to not get that job, is what they're saying. Or if you were like most of us in life, and you used cannabis as a young person, and then you were trying to get a job that required a security clearance, that young person activity wouldn't keep you from getting that job. So that's what that is. And they blocked it. Of course they did, because Republicans don't care about you. at all.
I don't think a majority of politicians.
That's also true, but in the general sense of what they do,
right? I'd like
publicly.
I say majority. There are good representatives out there. I believe we should hold them accountable.
All of them.
All of them. And that's how we start changing that, is if really this is the system that we're going with and the one we have to work with, then we got to put the right people in the places.
Right. Exactly. I don't know where that just was. I just had open, but I will find it back again in a second. So we have to hire the right people in the right places, but also I don't disagree that, when we talk about Republicans and Democrats, we're talking about, two wings of the same bird, right? But also when you see what Republicans are what Democrats are trying to advance publicly, at least publicly, they're writing the right words on the right papers, and they're making, at least publicly, they're doing that.
Right. But this all, yes. And then I look at, as I scroll past this Schedule 6 bullshit ad.
I can't stand this ad right now.
It's an advertisement, and that's
they paid a lot of money to be on the marijuana moment.
Yeah, they did. And
because they're everywhere.
And again, it looks to
it looks official
to the uninvolved voter, someone that doesn't care about cannabis. Oh, that looks great. Yeah, let's vote for that.
Perfect.
And for the actual consumer, producer, etc., it's not what we need. It's not what we need.
So everybody in the comments, y'all say hello.
Yeah, come on.
Kind of quiet out there.
Everyone know. I didn't hit up everyone in Discord. I don't know how many.
I put a little post in Discord, but I didn't put a picture with it. That could have been my downfall. So don't get excited, but the governor of Kentucky on Friday released a report from the Medical Marijuana Advisory Committee that he formed in June. And he said that he would be taking their findings into account as he continues to consider executive actions for reform. A non-scientific poll that the Team Kentucky Medical Cannabis Advisory Committee conducted online found that 99% of participants of the 3,539 respondents believe that medical cannabis should be legalized. And they also gathered input during 4 town hall events they organized in July, reporting that 0 event attendees expressed opposition to making marijuana legally available to patients. That's pretty amazing. Governor Andy Beshear said last week that he received the 17-member panel's official report and that there will be some actions forthcoming. However, the newly unveiled report determined that while the governor may be able to enact some reforms unilaterally, most of its recommendations to provide patients with medical cannabis access would require legislative action, a problem given some leading lawmakers' opposition to moving ahead. Polling suggests that 90% of Kentucky adults support legalization of medical cannabis, he said in a press conference referring to a 2020 scientific survey. And that also found that 60% of Kentuckians feel marijuana should be legal under any circumstances. Our team traveled the state to talk directly to Kentuckians, and they found that our people do indeed overwhelmingly support it. I appreciate the work of those who participated, and I'm taking this information into consideration as I analyze what steps I can take to legalize medical cannabis for those suffering from chronic and debilitating medical conditions. This is a step in the right direction.
You want to hear one that's a step in the wrong direction?
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll follow that. We'll see if what happens with that, if there's a legislative change in Kentucky laws, if they can get that passed. They do have some opposition. What's up, Chris? They do have some opposition in their local, their state government, in their state government positions. Andy Bashir is an anomaly amongst the men. He's a Democrat, and Kentucky is not a blue state. So, but yeah, that's at least you got somebody in Kentucky fighting for Kentuckians to get medical access, to gain medical access. I think that's amazing. That there's some leadership out there and they're trying to do the right thing. So
paying attention to what's going on and how it, is benefiting people and how it can change communities, for reals, right. For reals. So I was just scrolling around marijuanamoment.net, and so apparently
these are all marijuanamoment.net stories, by the way.
Yes. Apparently 3 weeks ago, the World Anti-Doping Agency set to keep cannabis on the banned substance list because the U.S. didn't back its removal.
So wait, what? Let's get more into that.
So the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, seems poised to keep marijuana on the list of banned substances for athletes, despite a ferocious push for reform following the Olympic suspension of U.S. runner Sha'Carri Richardson. After a positive test last year, and the global body saying it would conduct a review of the drug's status.
Yeah. So y'all think this is the greatest country in the world? Right. Is that what y'all think?
Okay. Amid the fallout from
her alarm just went off, or nope, somebody's calling her.
I'm calling you out, Jessica King. It is Wednesday at 4:41, and we have a show every Monday and Wednesday at 4:20 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, unless otherwise posted.
So stop calling us at that time and just get in the comment section.
Tune into the show. Okay. And so, even it's saying, even President Joe Biden signaled that it's time for new policies. But the spokesperson for the WADA told the Wall Street Journal that to date, neither the United States authorities nor the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency has requested the removal of cannabis from the prohibited list. The lack of a formalized request seems to have helped shape the draft, the 2023 prohibited list, the WADA prohibited list. Details of which were released by representatives of the Netherlands. That country had advocated for removing cannabis altogether as a banned substance, arguing that it is not a performance-enhancing drug. The draft rules are expected to be finalized later this month. So again, for your entertainment, America, let's push these wonderful, human beings that have ultimate talent to the edge. Not give them a capability to recover in a healthy way. And, if they happen to pick up, a natural plant to help them with something that's going on in their life, and they, cannot appease like you can perform, but you can't win gold. Sorry.
Like
perform for us. Dance, monkeys dance. Like, the fuck.
I can't stand it. I can't stand that we're the most regressive country. Like, how's that possible?
And so they're and why does again, we say we're the most influential country in the world, and so things like this is really where we're stuck when the rest of the world is really ready to move forward. Are we really going to get left behind?
We are. Listen, that was obvious when the country above us fucking legalize the entire country while we're still being like states' rights, state by state.
And so, yeah, that was fun.
I have one that I was just looking at. Hold on. Oh, I know what I want to do. I want to do a rundown of the states, but I want to try to do it in time.
Hey, Kara, you want to join us at the at an event on tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
At the
yes, tomorrow at we'll probably head over there around 5:30 tomorrow is the plan, I think. Yeah. We'll probably head over there around 5-ish. Start setting up around, well, we want to be there by 6. That's why I say we're leaving here around 5-ish, because with traffic, it'll probably take us about 45 minutes, an hour to get down there. The event starts at 8, I want to say. So honestly, you don't have to be there to help set up. We need a hype person, camera person that is taking pictures of us doing what we do.
It's at the Marijuana Mansion in Denver.
If anybody in Denver is listening right now and you want a ticket and a code or the ticket link and a code, I can give you one. Just reach out to me if you want to go. But Carrie specifically.
But Kara, if you wanted to bring your lovely camera and
help us with some content.
We're trying to get that going. But would also yes. Yay. Glad you popped on.
I am too. Yeah. Because we were just talking about that. So that would be awesome. And yeah, you can get in for free. Check out all the shit. I mean, you don't have to hover around us all the time, but we would love to get some content.
Or even if for your schedule, if she's an early bird. But if you wanted to come kind of get content of us setting up and and then maybe just like at the beginning of the show, and then if you need to dip, you can. Or if you're gonna stay late and chill with us, it's exciting. We're gonna be pairing up with Good Eats.
Yeah, we are.
Amazing food. Dupree is the mind behind the mastery there, of just some amazing mouth-watering.
Listen, this guy's a master in the kitchen. Yeah, he's amazing. And our drink is going to be paired with his amazing food. So I'm super excited for that opportunity.
We're going to have Queen Kitty there. Queen Kitty with Good Eats. We're pairing up to, I don't know. We have to come up with a good tag. Combination, Good Eats and good drinks.
Put it in your mouth.
Put it in your mouth.
Put it in your mouth.
What did we say?
Thank you.
Royal combo.
The kitty. I know the queen combo. The queen
combo.
Well, I think we should maybe
queen combo because they have other drink options if they don't want to get a Queen Kitty, but why would they not?
Let's bounce that around tomorrow.
Yeah, as we're setting up, whatever. I want to. I have it on my list for those things for the signage.
Okay. Do we want to find out what's going on state by state?
State by state.
This is according to Marijuana Moment. Do you want to put a timer on for me to see how fast I can do this? This is not all the states, but it's a lot of them.
Yes, go for it.
Ready? Go. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said in a debate that she would implement legalization of marijuana this time if voters approve it on the ballot again. Democratic opponent Jamie Smith, currently the House Minority Leader, criticized the incumbent for working to overturn a previous cannabis vote. In Texas, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke, if you're in Texas, vote for Beto, a former congressman, spoke about his support for legalizing cannabis, marijuana during a debate. In Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers, Democrat, again spoke to college students about marijuana legalization. In Pennsylvania, Governor Tom Wolf, Democrat, posted a reminder on the last day for people to apply for relief under his marijuana pardon project. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, he's a Democrat, touted his implementation of marijuana legalization. Colorado Republican gubernatorial candidate Heidi Gonahal, whatever, called incumbent Governor Jared Polis a puppet of the marijuana industry. Well, okay, a spokesperson for Virginia, we ain't mad about it. We mad about the medical shit, though. We'll talk about it later. A spokesperson for Virginia's House Speaker said nothing has to change with respect to the prospects for legislation to allow recreational marijuana sales to begin. Tennessee Republican lawmakers spoke about their opposition to marijuana legalization, with one dismissing data about racial disparities in enforcement, seeming to suggest that Black people might just be culturally more prone to commit crime. Stay away from Tennessee and fuck off, Tennessee. Draft Michigan legislation is circulating that would enact a moratorium on issuing new marijuana cultivation license. So keep your eyes open, Michigan. We might follow that story and get into that a little bit more. Vermont, recreational marijuana sales have begun. In Massachusetts, top marijuana regulator said she spoke to the state ethics commission about her involvement in the cannabis industry, which she said advised, "I have no actual conflict of interest." She said, she also said she's not sure why it's taken so long to process paperwork, severing her ownership of one company. New Mexico Supreme Court Chief Justice wants to change the state's marijuana expungement law so the relief is no longer automatic, and so people would have to petition for it. Garbage. A former Missouri Supreme Court Chief Justice authored an op-ed saying he supports legalizing marijuana but has concerns about the initiative on the November ballot. Valid. An Arizona judge ruled that truck drivers can't face criminal charges for possessing marijuana on the job. Good job, Arizona. A Georgia judge placed an injunction on 2 recently awarded medical cannabis business licenses. Oregon regulators filed rules changes to allow the transfer of marijuana products between business licenses by the state and tribal governments. Nevada regulators hosted a webinar about cannabis consumption lounge applications. That's amazing. Washington state regulators will host a conversation on cannabis plant canopy rules on Tuesday. That's it.
Oh, perfect timing. 4 minutes and 20 seconds right there. Well, you were just under 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Good job.
Were you just singing step by step? It's a total possibility that was happening.
I was.
I was like, I don't know who you were talking to, but that's total possibility. Total possibility. So that's what's going on state by state. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear more about, just let us know. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit more detail, maybe on its own or as a larger snippet of another show. So that is the headlines. Those are the headlines. Let's take a commercial break. Today's show is brought to you by CQ LLC, a cannabis compliance and education company. www.cq-llc.com. We are certified RVT providers in the state of Colorado. RVT is responsible vendor training. It is required for delivery drivers and hospitality workers, and it's highly recommended for other people who work directly in the regulated industry. So give us an email, give us a call, customer service, cqllc@gmail.com or 970-426-5985. We have a virtual option up right now, but soon we will have a live virtual option, which includes an instructor that you can ask questions to. So again, give us a call, 970-426-5985. I will be looking for Coloradans who need to take this class as my first volunteers for my first class. I will offer this class for free to about 7 people in Colorado, and I will pay for your certification as well. I'll make sure you get that as well. So give me a call, 970-426-5985, or send me an email, customerservicecqllc@gmail.com, if you're interested in taking my first class for free.
And you have to pass the test to get certification. She'll pay for the test.
Yeah. You have to pass the test.
Your certification.
And also, I would say that I would prefer, as far as Coloradans are concerned, I would prefer badged employees. But if it's somebody that's waiting on their badge, also I'm keeping a couple slots for that class open for out-of-state participants as well, just to get some feedback. You will not be taking the test or getting a certification from Colorado. So, yeah, let me know. And this show is also brought to you by, of course, Queen Kitty Seltzer. Queen Kitty Seltzer, pop this kitty, put it in your mouth. It is delicious. It tastes like water. It's 10 milligrams of CBD. There's no sugar or any kind of sugar additives in our drink. It is just refreshing, bubbly water, and it has that little bit of CBD in the can, which is just relaxing enough. Not enough to put you to sleep, but enough to make you chill in a social situation. We highly recommend it.
Good.
Yeah. And you don't have to like drink something behind it in order to feel refreshed. This is going to make you feel refreshed at the same time and feel like really good. It's non-psychoactive in terms of cloudiness in the mind, non-intoxicating. Like I said, no sugar added, no sugar additives. It's just organic terpenes and water and CBD, and it is absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite drinks.
Oh, so good. And you can, it is an industry night at the mansion tonight.
I feel like it's a buyer's club.
So you must have a badge. I was looking at the event ticket. You do have to have a badge to go in Colorado. And yeah, you mentioned it was a buyer's evening or whatnot. So, otherwise, I don't know where I was going.
I'll be real with you guys. That rule has recently changed it's because of the things that are going on in Colorado. People, you got to follow the rules and regulations as they're written right now. And that brings us to another important point. If you don't like the way the rules and regulations are written, don't vote for them.
Make sure you read what you're voting for.
Please. We just talked to somebody. Well, she just talked to somebody today, and
it was Chris.
It was Chris. Okay. So you just talked to Chris. I'll let you tell your story.
We talked about Arkansas on Monday, and a friend of mine I guess recently went back. I guess he told me, and I asked him again, and I was like, how, because he's getting ready to go start back working in the industry again. And I asked him, and I said, well, how do you feel about the adult use regulations in Arkansas? And he's like, as far as I know, it's a great option for patients, people that can't get their med card, don't have access to, etc. Right, all the things that we love. Check. And so, I was like, well, one of the provisions, and mentioned, y'all go check out Monday's show. We went into a full rundown of how the bill how the legislation
reads. What's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. And this is a constitutional amendment change, and so this is different than just putting something. And we were saying there is a difference between an amendment and a revision. We're going
to discuss that today.
We are. And then I have no idea. And so, but yeah, a percentage of that going towards a stipend to fund a law enforcement certification.
To put them in good standing. It's a certification so they can say, I'm a good cop. That's what that is.
And so, see,
I've probably taken something like that when I was in the military. I was, don't judge me. I was a police officer in the military. Y'all don't judge me. I was good. I be like, just put your seatbelt on. I'd just be like, you know, like, hey, let's just bring this down a minute. We don't have to go sky high on this, right? I'm gonna talk somebody down because I don't want to fight you. I will, but I don't want to. And where was I going with this? Oh, in the military, you know, we have to take all kinds of ridiculous bullshit classes, PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint. But I'll tell you, thank you. And that one of the classes that I took on a regular basis is, you know, whatever, was, you know, good conduct. It was a good conduct class, how to act with good conduct. And then you just take a little test at the end, and then you got your good conduct certification. See? So you know it. So that's what that stipend is going to. What's up, Audrey? Thanks for joining us. So you know what those classes are. You know how they're bullshit. They're bullshit. That doesn't even compare to how you act on the street. Okay? That class is bullshit, and your qualifications for good standing are probably bullshit too. And I personally would not want my taxpayer dollars going to that bullshit, especially if I use my money to pay for pot. If, like, listen, if this is, they oppose it, by the way. And also your governor, right? Is she the governor? I don't know. I have to look and see what her position is. But she is trying to get the police to side with her and oppose this bill. But why would they? Because literally they get money from it. They literally get money from it.
Chris, we want to have more conversations about it as everything approaches, as election day approaches, November 8th. It is only a month away. I'm surprised people aren't being more bombarded with some of this information and thinking about it or talking about it. So we're looking to have that conversation for the, you know, we have it on the books. Our A3 debate for Missouri. Right now it's a one-sided debate because we have not been able to get any of the those that are for A3 to commit to jumping on with us and telling us why they feel that it's a good
just respond to my emails. Just respond to my emails.
and you know, and again, we know that there's a strong opposition. We from what we're hearing of how if it is being read by Missourians, we are not Missourians. We do not have a stake or interest in Missouri. We are purely here to keep the conversation going and hoping that it promotes people to apply it to their own state, you know.
I'm straight here
going on through Missouri.
I think we can both speak for this, but I'm straight here because I love y'all, and I want to see y'all get the right shit. And
yeah, so
you got to know what you're voting for. You got to read that shit.
I think that, you know, we get the people that want to try and put us down in terms of being like, you're not from here and why do you care? It's because we care about the nation as a whole of cannabis law and legalization and what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we one of our on our goal boards, y'all help us out here, is we want to start traveling with the Cannabis Closet Podcast. We want to pull into your state and set up. So we're actually going to we just made it happen. I think we solidified it today that we're going and we're making it work. We're doing a dual trip here where we've got a seltzer order to pick up. And we are going to go ahead and host this debate. If it's just more information about why you should oppose A3 because we can't get other the yes vote to come represent. You know, we are not here to bash the individuals talking about this. We're here to talk about this amendment and why you should or should not vote for it. Most people are saying, I'm going to vote for this because, well, then are you willing to listen to maybe why you shouldn't vote for it, and vice versa? Tell me why I should vote for it. So far, we're only getting, that what we are from very valid sources in Missouri of why this should be opposed to. So we are open to the conversation.
From the actual amendment itself. we've looked at it. We've looked at this amendment ourselves.
So that is set for
we're not talking about Missouri today.
Not today.
October 19th.
October 19th is our Missouri debate. That's what we're setting it for. So if you know anyone in Missouri that's either on the fence or for the, thinking they're voting yes, reach out. We'd love to, hear their reasons.
We'd love some on the fence voters, because we're looking for some moderators, and your questions are valid, and you can get them answered here. We're going to give you a platform where you can ask your questions and get them answered. So
Chris, please share us with any cannabis industry people around you, any or clue us into who we should touch base with, and we'd be happy to reach out to facilities, or if we know that there are any groups that are talking about this or representing it in any way.
I want to say if you are already actively working in the cannabis industry in one of these states that are considering legalization for retail sales, I would be careful about what you are talking about at work. And that is because usually the dispensaries are going to benefit in some way, shape, or form from legalization, right? And so they're going to back it no matter what. And sometimes we've seen this happen in, unfortunately, Missouri. When you back the opposition to that, they see it as, I guess, maybe a threat. And so then suddenly you no longer have a job. So I just want to put that out there, because I don't want anybody losing their job, going in and not being prepared for that outcome, at least. I mean, you may not, but you might, and they got no problem firing you and replacing you in like that. So just, be respectful and maybe keep politics out of your workplace as much as you can. I don't know. I would personally bow out from taking signatures for an amendment that I didn't believe in. I'd be like, that's just not going to be my job today. But do you, boo-boo, and I won't interfere because I'm at my workplace right now. But if you feel the need to be an activist, no matter where you are, even in your workplace, I support that also. And do you, and we love you. I can't support you monetarily, but I support you. I support your endeavor.
So we can
all
be a cheerleader.
Love and
yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Arkansas, bring it.
Yeah, we'd love to have a debate in Arkansas too. Maybe not in Arkansas, maybe virtually, but surrounding Arkansas too. I'd love to hear both sides of that argument. It's a hard no for me to give my money to the cops. I try to be nice. I try to be nice to them on the phone when they call and ask me for money. So recently got a call. I think I was on Marco Polo with you or something. I recently got a call from, they were running the phone banks to collect money for the police officers or whatever. And so I was just trying to be polite. He was like, can I send you the literature? And I was like, I'd love to see the literature. Sure, you could send it to me. And he goes, well, I have to put down a commitment. And I go, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And I hung up. I'm not going to commit to you. I'm not going to lie to you about my commitment. I'll look at your bullshit literature. Even when it comes in the mail, I'll look at it and I'll be like, yeah, no, still not going to do it. But yeah, crazy. Anyways, we were just talking about coming out to Arkansas, actually. So that could be in our future, but we will need sponsorship for that trip. And so we'll work on that. Maybe we'll work on doing something like that in the soon near future. We're just, we have a lot of
This is all started this week. This all started with
this
Monday
conversation.
Show.
Yeah.
Monday show, we're going to talk about
here's
Arkansas
the thing is I already have to go to Missouri. Like well, I could go by myself or we could go together, but we're going to go together. But I was already going to Missouri in a couple of weeks. So we were honestly talking about maybe like midweek, but then some other conversations kind of changed our plans. So we're going to head out there and do 2 shows in Missouri, one on the 17th and one on the 19th. The show on the 19th is going to be our Amendment 3 debate. So I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping that we can work it out that maybe we have a town hall, potentially if I get the Airbnb that I had last time in the Airbnb. It's a pretty dope place, and there's like a place upstairs where we can like have an open space and an open forum. So
cool. Okay.
Maybe we could just like hang out, and it would be a little bit like a party, but also like a little bit like a town hall with blunts. So
nice. Yeah, that'll help.
That's very helpful. Right. So that's our plan for Missouri, which we said we're not going to talk about Missouri today. And then we talked about Missouri, but it's just to get you guys ready for us to like literally we want to have the debate. We want to have transparency, and we want to hear both sides of the issue. So hopefully we do get that. And if not, then the likelihood, I mean, we're not going to turn the people away that we've already invited to join us. So I would say we're still going to talk about it. We're still going to talk about what's going on in Missouri. So yeah, but today we have the other. So we did 2 on Monday, Arkansas and Maryland. Maryland seems pretty mainstream and lined up with most states. Arkansas is crazy that they're going to give their money to the police. There's some other stuff in there too, I think we talked about. But today we got South Dakota and North Dakota, which I don't know if y'all knew this, but people live there. So that's interesting.
That is interesting. I have never been to either of the Dakotas.
I've not been to a Dakota either.
Hoping to get some input from some friends that have people in the Dakotas. But yeah, I was
Mount Rushmore is in the Dakotas, in North Dakota, right? In North Dakota or South Dakota? Or is it? Yes. I don't know. But also it's a monument that is hammered into tribal land of a bunch of white dudes. So
yes. But they've also as mentioned, they've done the Crazy Horse. I think they just completed it.
Yes.
Within the last year or 2 with the COVID. You never know. I don't know.
With the COVID.
But well, see, thanks for tuning in today, Chris.
We don't know anybody. Well, she knows some people in the Dakotas, so we're trying to we're trying to put some shows together that are not just Colorado or Missouri. That's what we're trying to do. We'd love to come to your state, and we'd love to talk about what's going on. We're not coming to North or South Dakota at this moment in time. No. It's not on the agenda.
But again, 2023, we want to do maybe
national tour.
Yeah, a summer tour. And see what we can make happen.
Do we want to start with North or South Dakota?
I have a South Dakota, thing in front of me. I think what is this other one that I have open is also nope.
I have them both open.
Yeah. Whatevs. I'm gonna let you lead, and I'll comment. I think I have both just South comments, and then I'll open up some North.
Okay. I'm just going to read this little blurb. This is from the Thrillist. This is where we started a lot of these articles about this legalization, and then I'm tapping into Ballot. What is it called? Ballotpedia. So check out Ballotpedia because it's actually quite interesting. Free advertising here, but it's actually broken things down so that it makes sense a little bit more than just reading the constitutional amendment or the ballot initiative. A lot of the times things get lost in there because it's just so the language in it is very difficult to anyways, you got it. You understand.
People don't I don't understand, so I just don't vote. There are things like this and others that make it easier break it down. They put it into plain, understanding for us.
And I love it.
Not legalese.
So in North Dakota, a ballot initiative will be put before the voters, spearheaded by the New Approach North Dakota, which advocates voters vote yes on two. It looks to legalize adult use and sale of cannabis in the state. The measure would allow residents 21 and older to possess up to an ounce of cannabis and cultivate a small number of plants at home. It also establishes a path for retail stores, labs, and other cannabis-related businesses, and it asks legislators to establish laws around adult use by October 1st of 2023. Other significant actions in the initiative per New Approach North Dakota include cannabis products will have to be tested by state-approved labs, and it will prohibit the public consumption of cannabis. The state voted against legalization in 2018, which is actually the most interesting part of this story, in a measure that also included, so this is what I think they voted against, by the way. So I don't know if I ever want to go to North Dakota. And a measure that also included expungement of criminal records for individuals with convictions of controlled substances that have been legalized. So that's the thing that caught me the most on this, is that this looks pretty cut and dry, but they didn't mention any language about expungement in this particular initiative. It's not a constitutional amendment. It is a state initiative, I want to say is what they're calling it. It's called Measure 2, a state statute. Sorry. I just want to use the right language there. Mm-hmm. So it's not a constitutional amendment. It's a state statute. But I don't see where, even when I look at the Ballotpedia, I don't see where they were very specific about what the rejected amendment. It was rejected by 59 to 40% difference. So 59% against legalizing in 2018. And under that, it was called Measure 3 at the time. And under that, let's see, it said years older. Okay. Automatic expungement process for individuals with convictions for controlled substances that have been legalized. Under the measure, individuals over the age of 21 could not be prosecuted in any court for charges relating to any nonviolent marijuana related activity, such as growing, selling, distributing, and smoking, except for distribution to someone under the age of 21. And that was rejected by the voters. And I feel like that language had a lot to do with it, which is usually super confusing because voters are usually in favor of automatic expungement. It's one of the arguments in Missouri right now as to whether or not that language exists. So, are you still with me?
I am. I'm just reading the summary real quick too. I have to read it and hear it, so I'm trying to keep up.
That's cool.
So they've rejected it as far as parts of it. Is that what
in 2018 they tried to legalize retail cannabis in the state and it got rejected, and that's the only language says the biggest difference between now and Measure 3 of 2018 is this is restricted, regulated, controlled, legal marijuana, is what David Owen is saying. And I don't know who David Owen is. Who is he? He is the primary sponsor and campaign chairman for Measure 3. So he was supported and helped write the previous measure, but I don't see anywhere in this language where Measure 2, which is what this new one is called, provides for that automatic expungement.
Yeah, that's when it doesn't say anything about automatic expungement here. It just talks about the just about regulation.
Oh, it's time. It's 4:20 on the West Coast. It's 4:20 on the West Coast. That's what that alarm means. Do 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 do. Oh, hi. Karma came to celebrate.
So this one, just quickly lists it as individuals who are 21 no longer punished for using cannabis responsible in the privacy of their home. Is that always an issue?
Like, get out of my house then. Yeah, it's in the privacy of my home. It's in the privacy of my home.
Yeah. Like you said, public consumption not allowed. Boo. That should be changed. Like, come on. If whatever. We can't even.
That should be changed nationwide. Now. If you could smoke a cigarette there, you should be able to smoke
nationwide. My sister and I were talking about, the movement from smoking sections to no smoking at all in places. And Carrie, and I worked at Outback. We had a smoking section, and then they were like, you have to keep it separate. And seriously, the smoking section was divided by a wall border that was not even enclosed. It didn't even reach the ceiling.
Of course not.
Literally, this is the smoking set. Like literally,
they were just like separated. They can't see each other.
And
we can still smell it, bro.
But yeah, I remember when all that, like, there was like major pushback in regard to not being able to smoke in the restaurant. Then it was like, okay, it has to be a separate room. So they said we had to build a whole separate section to the restaurant to accommodate smokers. And then they were like, and then they were like,
well, you can't smoke in our restaurant. There's a place in Durango. It's a bar in Durango. It is called the Roadhouse, I believe. And it is the only smoking bar in Durango. You walk in there and it is straight, but nope, I can't do it. I don't go in there. My friends would be like, I'm going to get, they sell the purple fucker there. And so everybody wanted to go get the purple fucker, the little Kool-Aid, whatever, taste and drink. And so I'm just like, but I don't even drink. So why am I going to go into a smoke-filled bar to get a drink I don't want? I went in there one time in the whole decade that I lived.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I did my time in some dive bars, 100%.
Oh, don't get that twisted. I spent a lot of my 20s in some smoky ass fucking bars.
But yes, there was a conscious, like, now it's like if anyone wants to reminisce when I come back into town and go to, I'm a little more, I'm gonna sit at home, y'all.
No, thank you. But seriously, if you could smoke a cigarette in the space, then you should be able to smoke marijuana, cannabis in the space. And that means if you got to step outside to smoke a cigarette at the little smoking station, I should be able to step outside and smoke my blunt. Because sometimes I need to do that. I need to get the fuck out of this restaurant right now. Fucking now.
I don't want to, I do want to go to a place where my friends are hanging out, but I don't want to, have a drink, but I do want to be able to smoke,
Yeah.
I do. I still drink. I drink, I enjoy a good kitty tail.
Yeah.
And, so, going with that.
But
again, public consumption, we should be allowed.
You should be allowed.
Of course, driving under the influence of anything is not prohibited, and that includes, yourself. Don't, driving the under influence of the mirror. Like, people do that,
So here's some of the responses to here are the arguments either for or against these measures. The measure would remove barriers for North Dakota veterans and other people with health conditions who need access to cannabis for therapeutic reasons. It would also create good jobs and new economic opportunities for farmers in our state with reasonable controls and regulations in place. This measure represents a responsible approach to legalization. Our neighbors in Montana are demonstrating that cannabis legalization can work successfully. Now it's our turn to move forward. That's the state representative, Matthew Ruby. New approach, North Dakota campaign treasurer Mark Fries, a criminal defense attorney and former police officer, says North Dakota's policy of punishing adults who use cannabis is the wrong approach. No one's life should be derailed over a small amount of marijuana or a large amount of marijuana. Honestly, nobody's life should be derailed because of cannabis. But I digress. Our ballot measure is thoughtful and well-crafted, and I'm confident voters will approve of this in November. And David Owen, the campaign manager for New Approach and former chairman of the committee that sponsored marijuana legalization in 2018. So the biggest difference between now and Measure 3 of 2018, and that's the one I want to talk about because that's the one that people are familiar with, is this restricted, regulated, controlled legal marijuana. The marijuana program that is very, very similar to the one that passed the North Dakota State House. So I guess he's just saying these are all arguments for legalizing. I think that like my only issue is that they took that expungement out of there, that automatic expungement. It just.
So does that mean, like, so I'm looking at here at just a small one that says, back in 2019, they could apply for low-level convictions,
right,
pardoned.
So I think, they took that. I think maybe that part's in there. This print is super small. But yeah, I think you can apply for it, but it's just not going to be automatic. And honestly, it should be automatic. Somebody shouldn't have to wait to get their life back when other people are making money in the way that got them landed in jail.
It shouldn't have to, and again, it shouldn't have to be based on being able to hire a lawyer, be able to file the paperwork, or be able to jump through the hoops that they're going to put in place,
right?
For those, individuals, and make it easy. Yeah, take it just.
Yeah, it's just something
you can find it in the system, right? You can search the.
I mean, you can find, and that was the thing when we talked to the cannabis, the one in Missouri, the Cannabis Convict Project. They said that their biggest issue was that they couldn't find, without the families and friends helping them say, this is where they are, this is what their number is and where you can locate them, this is what their address is, how, whatever. Without family and friends helping with that, there's like no way. They don't keep, which is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous how meticulous we have to be. And then you can go to a prison and they don't know where a prisoner is. But we have to be meticulous in all of these other facets of life. You should know where a fucking person is. It's a whole human being you have misplaced.
Right.
And so the best way is because the family knows where they are, because they're still able to make their phone calls and things like that. So they can say, I've been moved to such and such, and that hasn't reflected on any of the prison paperwork
what about
or whatever.
Don't have a family,
and that's the other problem. Like
this, and again, so being able to, and again, probably why it landed them there in the first place is that they didn't have representation that actually represented them and wanted the best interest for them. So there you have that. So
y'all, I'm hella liberal on this subject too. I'm like really super hella liberal on this subject. I think that if you are in prison for a low-level drug offense or jail, whatever, but if you're in prison for a low-level drug offense, and while you were in prison, a low-level nonviolent drug offense, and while you were in prison, a violent thing happened that you were charged with, I think all of those charges should be dropped. I think all of those charges should be dropped, because if not for you being in jail for a nonviolent drug offense, then the other crime would have never happened. It would have never happened. But here you are sitting in jail for a joint, and then you got into a fist fight, or I don't know. I've never been to prison. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what happens in there except for on TV, but you understand what I'm saying is the problem is that there's some people that go in on these nonviolent low-level drug offenses, and then they would normally have been released except for a violent thing happened in their prison history. When there are men making when there are white men making millions of dollars, billions of dollars on the thing that you're sitting in jail for, that you didn't even have enough to make millions or billions of dollars with, like you didn't even have that amount, then you got to get the fuck out of jail. Let them go. Let my people go. Just let them go.
And
I'm Moses.
And again, expungement, not
expungement. Get it off the record. They need to work.
Take let's use the proper language there.
Mm-hmm.
And not go make go away.
Yeah, it's gotta go.
That's the only way that they can rebuild and start anew themselves, is if that shit is gone.
It's not that hard. If y'all can lose a whole person, you can lose a whole person's record. Delete it from existence.
Delete.
We should have a whole show on I want to have a whole show calling out Anonymous for why they haven't deleted our student loans, deleted these prison records, and let these motherfuckers out of jail. Like, what the fuck? What are y'all doing with your time right now? You could be doing so much more. Okay. Then they're going to shut our whole show down, so what does somebody say on your small little podcast?
Small little podcast.
It is a small little podcast, but we're a small little family and we love it here. So fuck all the way off, sir. Mac, his name is Mac. I'm gonna call him out. Let's switch gears a little bit and head over to South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Did
we already? Okay, so I did Googly the difference between amendment and revision.
Yes, can we talk about that? Let's talk. Let me read this first.
Okay.
Because I feel okay. We already know this from our discussions about what happened in Mississippi. Mississippi voted for cannabis legalization, and then the Supreme Court of Mississippi overturned that vote based on some antiquated bullshit law on the books. It's a law on the books, but I want to call it something else because it's absolute bullshit. And they know it's absolute bullshit. And I don't think something should be overturned on this just because I know rules is rules, right? But also when you have a rule that says in order to place a question on the ballot, you have to have this many signatures from these 5 areas. What do they call them? Districts, not districts.
No, it's like, districts or
municipalities. So anyways, there were 5. There were 5. There haven't been 5 since like the early 2000s where they shrunk it down to 4. And so what the organization did was they got signatures according to a map in the late 90s. They got signatures in all 5 districts, municipalities, whatever. And they presented that and they got the question on the ballot and the voters voted for it and they voted yes. Overwhelmingly, they voted yes. And then the Supreme Court overturned, in my opinion, stole their vote over this thing because, you didn't get signatures from all 5 municipalities. Well, all 5 municipalities don't still exist, so that would be impossible.
But it's an impossible
the
areas that
but we covered it
to be.
According to the map of where it would have been. It didn't matter. They overturned it. So something similar happened in South Dakota in 2020. Amendment A was presented on the ballot November 3rd, 2020. It would legalize recreational use of marijuana. The voters approved the measure 54% to 46% in the general election. The Supreme Court then overturned it on February 8th, 2022. So they they took a whole year plus to overturn it, to leave these individuals kind of dangling. This is the problem in cannabis too, is that we have to like prepare and prepare for licensing. And the way you prepare for licensing is that you kind of line up real estate. You put money back for the different licensing fees and the different modifications that you're going to have to make, et cetera, et cetera. You do all this stuff. So that you've put all this money in as an owner, you've put all this money into this business, right? And then they leave you dangling for a year and some months. So a year and 3 months, let's say, right? They leave you dangling. Then, circuit. So the Supreme Court overturned the measure on February 8th. The circuit Judge Christina Klinger ruled that Amendment A was unconstitutional because it violated South Dakota's single subject rule and was a revision of the Constitution rather than an amendment of the Constitution. So I want to just pause right there. I want to say a single subject rule that many states, I think like 16 states have this, that when you put a question on the ballot, it has to be a single subject question. It cannot be a multi-subject question. It has to be just, this is it. This is the single subject question. So she ruled that it was not that it was not a single subject question. And then the other thing that we were talking about earlier was the difference between a revision and an amendment. So can you?
Yep. That's it. So an amendment is the alteration of an existing constitution by the addition or subtraction of material.
Okay.
A revision is the replacement of one constitution by another. So amendment, you're adding; revision, you're replacing.
So she's saying that with this measure, which I would argue was intended as an addition to the Constitution, not a replacement for the whole Constitution. She is saying this this proposal, this amendment you're proposing is meant to replace the whole Constitution. That's not true. There's not even a little bit of evidence of that. So now South Dakota is also proposing a state statute as opposed to a constitutional amendment, which clearly their judges don't even know the difference between, because I don't. If somebody can please correct me if I'm wrong about this, I would love that. But from what I can see, it was an amendment. They were adding to the Constitution. They weren't trying to say this is the only thing that's going to be in the Constitution now, which would have been a revision, right? Or am I wrong about that? No, I'm just kind of asking it out in the air and hopes that somebody might answer.
No, like I'm rereading all the things and be like,
It's just, the language that is being used is very confusing to me. And I feel like, listen, I know this, well, I was going to say, I know this judge was probably a lawyer first, but I would really have to look at her history because that is not always the case. Did you guys know that? that not all judges have been attorneys before. It's a travesty. Honestly, it should not ever be that way. You should have some semblance of how the law fucking works.
Right. You should have to kind of like work your way up.
Yes.
Person that the understanding.
Yes.
Understandings of the court system.
Something. That, and also coroners don't always have a medical background. So there's that. They're elected officials, actually.
Right. They're not necessarily like they don't have to be medical doctors. Like
right. Or have any knowledge of medical. Anyways, moving on. So I think that this judge was ruling in bias, but that's just my opinion. And my opinion does not matter to anybody in South Dakota. I am positive about that. So the new measure, the ballot title is as follows: an initiated measure legalizing the possession, use, and distribution of marijuana. The Attorney General's explanation for the measure is as follows: initiated measure 27. Is that what this one's called?
Yeah, it's called Measure 27.
Because I was looking at the North Dakota was number 2 or whatever. Okay, got it.
And Amendment A is the one the judge is
ruled, which was a better one. Legalizes possession, use, and distribution of marijuana and marijuana paraphernalia. Let me pause for a second. I had a whole argument with somebody about this, and I'll argue with you about it too if you want to in the comments. But please stop using that fucking word. I fucking hate that word. We talk about language all the time on this show, and the word paraphernalia always, to me, feels like it has negative connotation. It feels very negative. So I always say like accessories or something like that. And somebody had a whole argument with me that accessories would just not do over paraphernalia. And I was just like, but it would, because
accoutrements. Would you like to use that?
I know, right? Like what?
My weed accoutrements.
Well, I mean, but stop calling it paraphernalia, because it sounds like all of the negative stereotypes that they tried to put on us all of these years. Anyways, that's just my personal rant. I didn't talk about something that made me mad today, so I guess that might be it. Anyways, check by people 21 years of age and older. So you can have you can possess it, use it, distribution.
Distribute it. I was like
distribution without the ability to gain profit? Anything.
Okay.
Yeah, no gains. I think they specify that at some point somewhere. They may also. Okay, so here it is. Yeah. Individuals may possess an ounce or less. They may also distribute an ounce or less without payment or other consideration. So it has to be like just, hey, boss man, here's an ounce of my finest green. Okay, marijuana plants and marijuana produced from those plants may be possessed under specific conditions.
Super specific.
Super specific. Marijuana plants may only be grown, and the marijuana from those plants may only be possessed, like they know anything about anyways, in counties or cities where no licensed retail marijuana store is available, or where allowed by the county or city ordinance. So, in other words, you have to live nowhere near a fucking place where you can purchase it, or your city or county has to put into place a measure to allow you to grow in the city or county.
I mean, otherwise, that's not being able to have it near a church or a school.
Yes. Otherwise, they're still going to fucking they're still going to charge you. Okay. So certain violations, they're not going to put you in jail this time. Great. But let's talk about what they are going to do. Certain violations of the restrictions the measure places on the possession, use, and distribution of marijuana and marijuana accessories are subject to various civil penalties. Individuals under the age of 21 can attend drug education or counseling instead of paying the civil penalty. They haven't laid that out, but they're going to fine you if they find out that you've been growing plants in your basement and that's what you're smoking, instead of going and spending your money at their local regulated taxed dispensary.
You want to hear the fines?
Oh, you found the fines. Good. Yes, we'd love to. What are the fines? I'm sure it's down here.
Civil penalties for committing the following acts are described as $250 penalty for keeping plants visible by a public place, $250 penalty for keeping plants in an unlocked space. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss rhyme.
Yeah.
$100 penalty for smoking in a public place that is not licensed for that activity. $100 penalty for possession, distribution, or use of cannabis accessories by a person under 21 years old. In lieu of this penalty, the option of attending the 4-hour drug education or counseling shall be provided.
So they're still criminalizing the use of
the capability to grow or to, and so again, restricting our capability to be self-sufficient from whatever. And I'm sure that they're not going to limit the spaces, or maybe they're going to say, okay, well then we'll create these just these areas where it can be, you know. So like in Breck, the stores are only allowed to be on Airport Road, and that's it. And so that would allow for, but not really, if they're saying that it's in, X jurisdiction, that covers a lot. That's crazy.
So here are some of the differences between Amendment A. There's some fucking loophole-y shit in here right here. I'm just gonna say. Amendment A authorized the State Department of Revenue to issue marijuana-related licensing for commercial cultivation, testing, manufacturing, wholesale, and related and retail sales. Initiated measure 27 does not cover licensing. So there's no way to start a business right now. Amendment A imposed a 15% sales tax, while initiated measure 27 does not cover any taxation because they don't cover licensing. Amendment A authorized local governments to enact regulations surrounding licensing operations in its jurisdiction, while initiated measure 27 does not cover local regulations because they don't cover licensing. This is laughable. Amendment A required the South Dakota legislature to pass laws providing for a program for medical marijuana and the sale of hemp by April 1st, 2022. Initiated measure 27 does not cover hemp or medical marijuana. Because that's what so that's why it was overturned, is because it was like, hey, legalize marijuana, and then it was like, and also regulate it, and they were like, that's two subjects.
Nope,
that's two subjects.
Right. Can't do that. Yeah, and so like I don't know. So right offhand, it's a vote no for initiated measure 27. Is that?
I mean, I don't even know, because I mean, it feels like they're just jumping through these hoops, but it sounds to me like they're like dangling the carrot, right? They're like, here it is. Here's your legal retail marijuana. Good luck finding it.
Yeah, and you can't.
Good luck finding it.
Yeah, and we'll fine you and take your money.
Well, I guess that means you can grow until said time. So then what they want you to do is they want you to go out and put all of your fucking money into a cultivation project, right? And then in 2 years, they're going to pass a law that regulates it and allows for stores. And then once they do that, they're going to be like, you're not supposed to be growing anywhere near this store. Go to jail or go pay your fine. And if you don't pay your fine, guess where you go? To jail. If you don't pay your fines, guess where you go? To jail. Let's let's criminalize poverty. Let's criminalize a plant, and then we're going to criminalize poverty on top of that. Fuck. I don't know. I don't feel like it's good, but I wonder also when we say these things, I wonder how much better is South Dakota going to get? Do they hold out for federal legalization?
I mean, I guess that's where we need to speak with someone who's actually, voting
in South Dakota.
In South Dakota, supporting these. I mean, whose idea was this? No.
I feel like the writers of the initiatives are with good intention, but they're like, okay, well, what are you going to accept? This is the only thing you're going to accept? Okay. Because they tried to put it into a comprehensive bill, but then they pulled out, like what I was saying about the whole thing in Mississippi. They pulled out some bullshit law on the books that doesn't have any relevance at all anymore. Mm-hmm. I would say the only relevance it has is about readability for the voter, understand, like comprehension for the voter. And that would be the only reason that I would say you should probably break some of these questions up.
Right. And I wonder though, is this question is this how it would look is this how it's going to look on the ballot, at the very top? Are you in the Ballotpedia?
Yes, I'm in the Ballotpedia.
Sports, like the way that some people would look at that and say, oh, hell no, I don't want distribution. Like even there, again, people aren't necessarily going to read the details of it. You can't, profit off of it, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that for some, the average human that don't deal, with cannabis or the idea of it are going to be like, oh, distribution, no. Right. My first thought when I look at that.
My dog is upstairs having the time of her life right now. I have no idea what she's doing, but it involves running back and forth.
Oh, I'm sure the llama is getting tossed.
Something's happening over there.
And
so some of the arguments, campaign leader for yes on 27, I would describe measure 27 as cannabis legalization for the individual. It does not include licensing regulations or taxation. It's really about personal freedom and ensuring the small amounts of cannabis do not make you a criminal. So I could say that's a good argument. That's a pretty good argument because they're not creating language for regulation right now that it is that you can grow, but you can't sell it. So I guess you have to sell t-shirts now. The petition is so South Dakotans for better marijuana laws. The petition is about more than just cannabis legalization. It's a defense of the constitutional ballot initiative rights of South Dakota voters. I would also agree with that. Here's the thing is that while we don't love all of the language and we think like I'm gonna speak for me. I am of the opinion that if you don't like it, don't vote for it. If there's something in there that bothers you, if it's worrisome enough to bother you, then don't vote for it. And hold out for something better and like really hope that your peers are in a similar place. And if you're an advocate for that. But in defense of the people who write these bills, I've been kind of harsh on like normal lately and stuff. And but in defense of them, to write these bills and get them approved and accepted by either ballot initiative, like getting the ballot initiative on the ballot. There's a lot you have to do, and there's certain language that they're just not going to like how South Dakota overturned due to language, due to a single subject issue was not presented. It was more. So they came back with a single subject issue. Oh, it's for the people. We're not going to talk about businesses right now. Just legalize it for the people. I don't know where they're going to get it from, but do that. And so sometimes they have to make a decision to try to push through and get And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of NORML. That's the whole point of all these. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but of all these organizations that lobby for cannabis legalization, their job is to legalize cannabis across this great nation. The problem is that sometimes the language doesn't work, and the voters have a choice, and you have a choice to vote yes or no. And if the language doesn't look good, you can tell your representatives, not that you don't support cannabis legalization, but that you don't support cannabis legalization like this.
Right.
Because the polls tell a different story. The polls say we support cannabis legalization. Nationwide, the polls say that. We support overwhelmingly cannabis legalization as a population in the United States. But the votes may not reflect that. And the reason the votes don't reflect that is because the laws don't reflect what the voters want. And that's what you got to look at. You've got to look and know what you're voting for. We say this every year in November on our personal platforms and now on this platform. You've got to know what you're voting for and who you're voting for in November.
True. Yep. And who you're voting for. So I pulled up a little thing for South Dakota, and it's just a little blurb, but I guess there was a debate that was, and so they kind of talked about recreational just for a minute. And did we talk about this grocery tax or someone's or the I'm just going to read it, and if it's repeating it, then
I don't think we are.
Okay. So it says Jamie Smith. He's the so Jamie Smith is running for governor in South Dakota. He is in favor of cutting taxes on groceries, and the state can replace that revenue with taxes on recreational marijuana.
You got to stop it.
So, so we're talking about, sorry if you, I got cooking in the background. So I just increased my volume. Let me see if I can, I'll put my earphone in. That's okay.
You're going to make us all hungry.
I need to get
my living space is not, and so, let's see, he says, as it's something that people voted for, and as a leader, he needs to listen to the voices of the people. They've stated they want to legalize. So current governor Neem, did we decide how that was pronounced?
I think
we covered this a long time, or not a long time ago, but we did cover South Dakota when she was pulling some shenanigans in regard to cannabis, and we talked about that. So she recently said she did change her stance on this grocery tax, saying now she does want to lessen the financial burdens of South Dakotans. And on the topic of legalizing, says she will implement the passing of recreational if the people vote they are in favor of it. Well, that's so she did say she flip-flopped.
Right. But here's the problem. Does somebody else take it to the courts because they're all, because she wasn't the one that took it to court. I don't believe, when it didn't pass the first time. I mean, with her support, that's maybe less likely to happen. Hopefully. I don't know. It's I feel like a lot of states are not going to legalize. At some point, we're all like, don't vote for it if you don't like it. But also at some point there has to be like, do the benefits outweigh the pros outweigh the cons when we look at these bills too? Because in some of these places, you're just not progressive enough. And to be progressive enough to even consider retail cannabis legalization is it's crazy. It's unprecedented, honestly, in some of those places.
Well, and then I think too, that's where we did talk about we say it all the time, constitutional amendment harder to change. Medical cannabis is in Colorado's constitutional amendment. We will always have that to rely on, whereas sometimes it's not a constitutional amendment, and it is just a measure or an addition, and we're not protected as much, I feel like, if it's not. And so that's why, but it is harder to change, harder to make things happen, to add to it, or and so that's where it's like, do you hold out, or do you wait for the verbiage to be the right way? And then who's influencing that? That's what it's where it's at right now, because someone was out there saying this is how we should do it, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
And
there's something crazy going on.
Everyone was like, is everything okay? Do you need to do a house check?
I might need to do a house check. Oh, it's 6 o'clock. I wonder if
it is 6 o'clock.
My dog is having a crazy fit upstairs. So let's go to our would you rather question.
Yeah,
let's jump into that. No. Let's see. Would you rather be forced to go 10 miles under the speed limit, or 10 miles over the speed limit, but you can still get a speeding ticket if you go 10 miles over?
So you're forced to, but you have to pay a penalty if you get caught.
But I feel like 10 miles over might be like
I do not want to be forced to drive 10 miles under. No, thank you. Have you ever been stuck behind the moving truck?
Yes. Millions of times. Let me tell you, in Colorado, it is my worst fucking nightmare to drive sometimes on these streets, because I hope it's just a rabbit. You guys know I watch a lot of documentaries, so I'm like watching my back right now. Anyway, so yeah, I would die. So in Colorado, when we drive across the state, there are roads where it's just 2-lane road, right? So then you get stuck behind the truck, and then there's traffic coming, so you can't go around the truck, and there's not a passing lane for miles. It's like, even if you're not in a hurry to get to where you're going, it is the absolute fucking worst thing on the planet.
Agonizing. If that's the definition of agonizing, I don't know what is.
I would pay the ticket. I'll just pay the ticket.
I'll pay the ticket. Yep. Get a radar, and I don't know, and be like, all right, have a budget.
My dogs are being ridiculous. I'm throwing things at them like
I know.
Not hard things, y'all. Soft things.
Lady.
So
I know, lady's gonna start looking at
same thing. So yeah, it's the worst. And driving across the country, getting behind those individuals, I can't. Give me 75 plus miles per hour all day long. I'm into it. I am so into it. I'll pay the ticket.
Pay the ticket.
Oh my God.
Whew.
It has been a show. This has been a great show, actually.
It's been really great.
If you guys have any questions or about today's shows, or anything that we talk about on any of our past shows, or anything we haven't talked about yet, give us a holler over at cannabiscloset420@gmail.com. You can find all of our platforms on solo.to/cannabiscloset420. You can also come hang with us in Discord. That link is in that solo link as well. And catch us later on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. The last show is up, so you can go ahead and catch up on that one if you want to right after this. And I think that's it, you guys. Be nice to yourselves. Put your mask on before assisting others. It's very important that you do that.
Yes. Cultivate love. Bring it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You deserve it.
You do.
And as always,
stay lifted, y'all.
Stay lifted.
We got a surprise for you guys. Ready? You guys ready for the surprise?
Stay safe.
Stay lifted, stay safe. We love you guys. We'll see you on Monday.
Oh, it didn't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it. Did y'all hear it? Tell me if y'all heard it. It mutes our mic. Tell us if y'all heard that before we go.
I know, she might give us a live one. Hey, lady, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. Is it woo-woo? Is it woo-woo? Is it woo-woo?
I want to try it again. I felt like it. Oh, wait, hold on. Who says?
I saw it. Oh,
you heard it. Okay.
You heard it.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to try it one more time. It's supposed to mute our mics, but I'm going to try it one more time and see what happens. There it is. There it is. All right, you guys. We're working on ways to make this more fun and interesting, and that's it. You're gonna get a woo-woo from Lady at the end of the show. We love you guys. We'll see you on Monday, 4:20 Mountain Standard Time. Tell your friends, like, follow, subscribe. We are working on building, as always, our social media, but I think we are actually in the right direction right now. So go like our page so that you can be one of our OGs. Solo.to/Cannabis Closet 420. That'll take you to all of our solo pages. So go check them out. We love you guys, and we'll see you on Monday. Woo woo.